A captain pumped steam into a burning ammonium nitrate hold and vaporized 2,000 tons of fertilizer with the yield of an atomic bomb. The date was April 16, 1947, and the ship was the SS Grandcamp, docked at the port of Texas City on Galveston Bay. The captain's name was Charles de Gillibon. At 9:12 in the morning, 44 minutes after he ordered the hatches sealed and the steam smothering line opened, the Grandcamp went into detonation. The blast threw the ship's primary anchor, a 1,500-pound piece of forged steel, 1 6/10 miles inland. It landed on the Monsanto Chemical Company's property, and it's still there today. 2 Cessna spotter planes, circling at 1,500 feet, were destroyed by the rising debris column and the airborne shock wave. Both pilots were killed instantly. A 15-foot wave of harbor water rolled across the slip and drowned the rescuers who'd run toward the original fire. The Texas City Fire Department lost 27 of its 28 active members in the first 90 seconds. The official death toll for the morning is 581. Reanalysis from Texas A&M University in 2014 put the Grandcamp's detonation yield at 2.7 kilotons of TNT equivalent. The Hiroshima device released about 15 kilotons of the same equivalent unit. The Grandcamp was therefore roughly 1/5 of an atomic bomb, releasing that energy 3 feet above a wooden pier inside a city of 17,000 people. The mushroom cloud reached 2,000 feet of altitude within the first 6 seconds, and the audible signature carried across most of East Texas. Here's the question every accident investigator asked after that morning. What was the warning the dock workers were looking at for 44 minutes and didn't understand? The answer is in the color of the smoke. When ammonium nitrate burns at moderate temperature in an oxygen-deficient hold, it doesn't produce the white or gray smoke of an ordinary cargo fire. It produces a brown to pink to orange plume, and that color is the visible spectral signature of nitrogen dioxide gas. NO2 absorbs short-wavelength light in the blue-violet range and re-emits at the red-orange end. That's why the cloud rising over the Grandcamp turned a color the dockworkers described as the color of a rose. NO2 is what a chemist reads as a runaway. The decomposition reaction inside the hold was already self-sustaining and already accelerating, and the smoke was telling that story to anyone in the harbor who knew the chemistry. Nobody in Texas City did. The longshoremen actually walked closer to the dock to get a better look at the pink color. Several of them were taking photographs when the ship vaporized. Now consider what was happening below their feet. Pure ammonium nitrate decomposes thermally above about 210 degrees Celsius in a reaction that produces nitrogen, water, and free oxygen. That free oxygen is the problem. The reaction generates its own oxidizer. You can't suffocate an ammonium nitrate fire by depriving it of air, because the cargo is the air. Captain de Gillibon didn't know that. The Merchant Marine Fire Control Doctrine of 1947 told him to seal the hold and apply steam, the same procedure that successfully suppressed lumber fires and cotton fires and coal fires on hundreds of ships. He followed the procedure exactly. The steam smothering line opened at about 8:30 in the morning. The Grandcamp's holds filled with pressurized steam at roughly 120 degrees Celsius. The cargo temperature climbed, the hold pressurized. Here's where the physics took over. Ammonium nitrate decomposition is Arrhenius-dependent, which means the reaction rate climbs exponentially with temperature. Steam at 120 didn't extinguish the fire, it accelerated the fire. The sealed hatches added confinement, and a confined decomposition is the precondition for the transition that turned a chemical fire into a bomb.
The transition is called deflagration-to-detonation, or DDT for short. Before DDT, ammonium nitrate burns at centimeters per second, the way a road flare burns. After DDT, the same material releases its energy at a shock-wave-driven detonation velocity around 5,300 meters per second. That's the Chapman-Jouguet velocity for ammonium nitrate, and it's faster than a rifle bullet. The flame acceleration phase that bridges the two regimes runs through a feedback loop of turbulence, precompression, and shock flame coupling. Confinement makes the loop close faster. The Grandcamp's holds were the perfect geometry for it, and the wax-coated paper sacks the fertilizer was packed in were the perfect fuel for it. The Grandcamp's cargo was fertilizer-grade ammonium nitrate, manufactured by the United States Army during the war and converted to civilian fertilizer in the post-war conversion program. The granules were coated with about 0.75% paraffin wax to keep them from caking together in the bag. The wax was a fuel. The paper sacks were a fuel. The lower the carbon to oxidizer balance gets, the lower the DDT threshold gets. The Army knew this. The civilian conversion program had been warned. By 1949, the Department of Transportation shipping regulations were rewritten to require dolomite inhibitor coatings on every kilogram of AN moved through an American port. But Texas City had one more act left in it. The SS High Flyer was docked 600 feet from the Grandcamp's berth. It was carrying 961 tons of ammonium nitrate and 1,800 tons of elemental sulfur. Sulfur lowers the DDT threshold even further than wax. The Grandcamp's blast had thrown burning steel into the High Flyer's holds, and the secondary fire took hold inside the cargo within minutes. Firefighters fought that fire for 15 hours. They knew exactly what was in the High Flyer's cargo manifest. They stayed on the dock anyway. At 1:10 in the morning of April 17th, the SS High Flyer went DDT and detonated. The blast finished what the Grandcamp had started. 2 ships, 16 hours, the same chemistry, the same procedural mistake. 8,548 plaintiffs sued the United States for negligence, arguing the federal government had manufactured and shipped the AN with full knowledge of the explosive risk. The case became Dalehite versus the United States and reached the Supreme Court in 1953. The court ruled 4-3 for the government on sovereign immunity grounds, citing the Federal Tort Claims Act's discretionary function exception. The ruling shaped American federal liability law for the next 50 years and is still cited in federal negligence cases today. The chemistry hasn't changed since Texas City. In 2013, a fertilizer warehouse in West Texas detonated for the same reason and killed 15 people. In 2020, a port warehouse in Beirut detonated for the same reason with 2,750 tons of impounded ammonium nitrate and killed 218. Both events involved confined AN, an adjacent fire, and a response crew that didn't recognize the runaway signal in the smoke. The mushroom cloud over Beirut had the same brown to pink color signature that Texas City longshoremen had walked towards 73 years earlier. The Grandcamp's lesson was written in 1947, codified in 1949, and ignored twice in this century. The Grandcamp's anchor is still on the Monsanto property where the blast threw it. If a chemistry your dock crew has never been trained to read shook you, the survival video on reading warning signs in a real environment hits the same way. That one's right here on Sketchy Survival.